All right, guys. You guys want to blow up your back? Saw I blow my back up. You want a mass building back workout? Try this. You want bulging lats? You want Tyrannosaurus traps? You guys want lats like Dorian Yates with half the work and half fucking genetics? You want to figure out how to not work hard, get big? You want, this is the shortcut channel.
Someone asked me in my Q&A last night that I put up what I think of people who work out and work out in socks.
Socks?
Like they put their to deadlift or to leg press or whatever the fuck they do. And my original answer was like, oh, whatever, if it feels good and do your thing. And then I'm like, I really wouldn't say that. So I was like, it's fucking hippie shit and absolute nonsense that you walk around here like these. Like do it if you do it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's better. I don't think they know if it's better. I don't know if there's any type of proof to show whether it's better or not. But like I'm much more comfortable having something on my foot that has traction and that like lets me dig into things and has some type of cushioning. Like, I don't understand. Like whenever I walk barefoot around my house, I want to fucking shoot myself. I hate walking barefoot. I can't stand it. Like, I don't know, and like these people, like these hippity-bippity fucking people, like bodybuilding / yoga fucking people apparently. I don't know how that became a hybrid. And they think they're like grounding themselves or something. It's like, there's a fucking 5-foot slab of concrete underneath your feet. And there's rubber on top of it. You're not grounded, bro. Like, you're just walking around this dirty ass floor that I walk around with my shoes on and getting your feet dirty as shit and your socks dirty as shit. So you can be like, oh, I connect better. It's like, do you though? Because your legs aren't anything to speak of in terms of like all-time best. And the guys who have the best legs of all times, a lot of them wore shoes. Maybe some of them didn't. Like, it's just a preference thing. But for like, I've seen trainers tell their clients, like, oh, you should really lift barefoot. And like, this person has no body awareness whatsoever. Like, they don't even know how to fucking do the exercise yet, period. Let alone like feel it more. It's just, I don't know, man. There's all these like trendy things like we talked about before. The mouth guard and the fucking, for a while it was the Vibram shoes with the fucking finger toes and now it's the Vivo barefoots. I wear those too. I stopped wearing them because it started hurting my fucking feet too goddamn much. But it's just like I had no cushioning for my foot holding 300, 400 pounds on my feet. Like, I want some type of shock absorber. It's like driving around a car with no shocks. Every time I hit a bump, dink, dink. You know what I mean? Like, you're bottom out on the fucking strut. I don't know, man. That's just me. Maybe because I'm old and I have broken body parts, I want a little love, man. I want a little love on those joints and support that weight a bit. I'm also 290 pounds. I don't see many guys that are my size that are lifting barefoot. It's not enjoyable for us to be barefoot. I'm sorry. Unless I'm on a beach in the sand. Even then I'm like, man, I'm exhausted. My feet I'm walking like I'm like all over the fucking place. Anyway, so people have been writing me to get me to show them like typical shoulder workouts, typical back workouts. Then now that I'm getting more mobility back for my shoulder, I can kind of do that kind of stuff. I am getting back to more normal workouts. But before we even start about like how you guys would build a shoulder workout in terms of pressing and laterals and rear delts and all this stuff, the first thing that needs to be addressed before all that is how you guys and girls do your laterals. Because to me, in my opinion, there's 3 ways to do your laterals. I've narrowed it down to 3 to make it more simple for my life and what I feel is effective. For everyone out there, there's 50,000 variations of your laterals that you guys do. I don't know what the fuck's going on half the time. Like the cardinal sin number 1, if your hand is going above your elbow on any lateral, you're wrong. It's crap. It's really bad. Like, we got to start over again. So if this stuff's happening, like, you know that you've seen that. You may do that yourself. It's wrong. Like, there's no mistaking whether that's right or wrong. It's wrong. Okay? So what I've narrowed down to is the angles that I'll do laterals. is there's more of an upright version where I'm like rounded on lats still. Everything's gonna be like shoulders pushed forward, lats open. It's never gonna be here. I'm never gonna throw like this or try and, where my lats are tucked in and I'm gonna try and throw my arms up because I have no leverage over my arm, right? I have no hangover, I have no, be able to toss my elbow. So the idea is that the first variation is what I refer to as like throwing a T. So at the end range, I look like I'm holding a letter T in the mirror. So if I'm up here, I'm here. I'm holding T. So if I hold this up here and I hold on this line, that's a T, obviously, right? So if I'm in the mirror looking again, this is my variation that I do with a lot of people, is a Y. So I'm chest up, lats engaged, shoulders forward, and I'm pushing hands. I'm throwing out more straight ahead and open. So necessarily a wide Y. It wouldn't be a V, because V would be more in here. Y is kind of open up top. I'm making a Y in the mirror as I look at myself because that's the position I'm creating. The other one would be O's, which would be front delts. So I'm making a curvature of a circle coming around with my arms. I'm not trying to throw to a point. That could be V's if you wanted. If you didn't understand this motion of curving around and grabbing your delt, you could start by how I have some people start, where they just rock and they throw to a point, just to get this motion of this delt and this arm moving off the body. But ideally, it's to make an O. I don't want to keep doing the V's because I'm just going to do this and I may end up rocking too much and swinging too much. Whereas I want to grab my delt, I still want this swing forward, but I want to curve my elbows and rock. So it's almost like a pouring over towards things. Even if I keep my body position down, I'm rocking around things. So I'm coming over top of my delt and sweeping up top to middle, where I would end up on a V, right? So that being said, the reason why I do Ys and why I teach Ys, like in terms of coming off on this angle here, is because everyone and their mother has a variation of this. It's either leaning back too far or flinging up or literally picking the weight up, doing this, but they end up in this weird distorted version of whatever a T, I look like a T standing here is, right? So the understanding of that is like, we're obviously getting a lot of front delt with that, because as you guys and girls can see, when I throw this up and I fall back like this, the thing that's working the most in the visual of what you're looking at is right here. So if I'm throwing up here, or even if I'm throwing way out here, I can see my front delt. I don't get much medial. I'd literally have to do that to get medial. I'd have to throw up like that, right? So the idea being with Ys, I'm more likely to get more of my delt, like the meat of my delt and the actual movement of my delt, which is simply this sweeping away motion. All I'm doing is lifting my arm up on an angle. So I'm locked in hip here, arched in lower back, leaning over, pushing my hands away, not moving with my hand. My hand and my arm don't move together and start becoming like a ping pong paddle, like swinging back and forth. So I'm just rocking here. So when I go to throw here, I can push out on delt and I can drop down. So I'm doing that same sweep, but now I have weight in my hand, so I'm squeezing the weight in here. Don't get doing this where you're limping your hands up, like dead arming it, because you have no grip. It's here, okay? So I'm pushing here, pushing out. That's in essence to get more projection from medial delt, or what you want to say like side delt for people. So when I stand in front relaxed poses and I'm as wide as I can be, I'm pushing out on this edge here. So I'm creating width, not just from my front delt, which a lot of guys think it's this. I push my front delts forward and I stand front relaxed and they poke out here. It's like, no, I want to be able to project open and have this point of my medial delt push out as wide as I can with a chest that's postured up. I don't want to be going like this, you know what I mean? So I want to have projection of my delt off my body, which is my medial delt. There's no better way to get that than having this motion of sweeping away, of lifting up through and hitting the middle part of my delt, which I feel lifting now. So if you want to mentally picture it, if my delt is coming down to a teardrop, this is the teardrop top, this is the point of the teardrop, I'm pushing to the point all the time. I'm not trying to drive here. I'm trying to drive that point out and move all along that midline. If literally my shit is like shaped like a teardrop, I'm pushing away on that. When we come around and do these O's, and I throw around and I get this curving of these shoulders and elbow, and this rocking of the delt, the arm off the body, I'm trying to get whole delt, but I'm getting a lot more front. So I'm gonna get a lot more grab because I'm pulling around on front and rolling, and then I'm picking up delt at the very end, so I'm getting that cap of my delt up top. I'm rocking up through, because I don't move my body much on these. I'm not trying to, it's like I find a spot and I move around my body with my arms. This was the demonstration, or if I had no motion at all, I'm doing this. I'm rocking around. But now I'm a little swaying, allowing the sway to happen, right? The T's, everyone does them, you guys know what they are. It's front delt. You can't hit medial, you can't hit rear if you're peeling away all the time. You're literally shutting them off and being like, oh, just swing up from here, dude, and throw your hand away. And use momentum to do it, right? Or these guys who like pick up the weight like, you see all these fucking, you can do that, guys, if it makes you feel good. Like, honestly, if it makes you feel good, and you're gonna stimulate some delt activity because you're picking a heavy ass dumbbell up and you're just putting that thing up, breaking the parallel line, like getting tension where there's tension on the bar, and I'm literally just feel this pop, 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 and something will happen because there's resistance there, right? But if we wanna optimally train our delts, we wanna have really complete, full delts, not just from the front, from the side and from the back. I want my delts to project as well. I want my delt to be off my body and my rear relaxed too, or my rear double. I don't just fade into oblivion when I start making quarter turns, right? So if you want a full delt, there's nothing wrong. Like, people who ask me, what's the best delt raise, or what's the best raises for delts, like this and that, this section, do them all. Fucking do them all every fucking workout. There's no reason why you need to like hyper isolate on one aspect of your delt. Rear delt, yes, because rear delt is like, you have to be finite about how you hit rear delt. It's gonna get work on other movements. It's gonna stabilize, it's gonna get a little like stimulation. But if you really wanna isolate rear delt, you have to be finite about it. You have to be very specific about how you're doing stuff, which we've talked about a lot in the past. We'll do it now too, but. So if I'm someone whose delts are lacking, don't be like, oh, I need to go heavier on my raises. It's like, no, add in other raises that hit other angles. It's like, oh, my chest sucks, but I'm just gonna do bench press, because if I just get that heavier, the whole thing will grow. No, you'll probably do dumbbell presses, you'll probably do flies. It's the same with your delts. Just because it's the same, it just looks like it's the same muscle. Like, oh, there's just this chunk of meat here. I just fucking push the weight up. It's like, no, work it from dynamic angles. Like, do your warm-up sets light with like doing T's. Get lots of range, get height. You feel like you're throwing away on T's. I'm pushing out. T's, I'm maybe throwing to the walls. I'm pushing outward. I'm pushing outward as I throw. I'm going up to get length on my arm, to get lift on my delt. I'm not trying to do upright rows and snap this thing, right? So all these dynamic movements and pull arounds and like tension on your delt will develop delts. If you have a shoulder day, which for some reason that's obliterated now to a push day, I can't tell you how fucking dumb push and pull days are, guys. Like, I don't mean to badmouth people, it's stupid as fuck. If you're training at an optimal rate, I'm talking like you're high level on the appropriate amount of gear, eating properly, recovering properly, doing all that stuff, maybe then, maybe. And even then I would argue with those people that you're probably optimally gonna grow and optimally gonna recover and optimally have like a better physique if you just hit things maybe once a week. Like push, pull, legs off, push, pull, legs off, push, pull, legs off. It's like, just have your body part days. You can have chest and triceps, you can have back and biceps, you can have a shoulder day to its own, or you could mix in on your shoulder day whatever your lacking body part is. So say my hamstrings aren't great. I'm gonna add in hamstrings on shoulder day, and then I'm gonna do legs the next day, and I'm gonna re-stimulate my hamstrings again. But there's gonna be more quad focused, right? In the sense that my quads are gonna be working more. On the hamstring isolation day, I do just that, I isolate my hamstrings. Like shit like that, or if it's triceps or whatever the fuck it is, you can add it in. But like, this like frequency of training more and like giving less attention to things and doing so, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, give more attention to things and train less, and you'll probably have a better physique. Like, there's not a lot of people who are top level guys who did push-pull legs outside of this generation. And this generation made it up because I don't know who the fuck came up with it. Probably someone who just thought it would be cool. Thought it was a way of maximizing output when you're recovering properly and not taxing the body too much. But it's literally like just like teasing yourself all the time. It's like, we're gonna stimulate, oh, not tomorrow we do this. We don't ever isolate or fucking kill anything. We just stimulate all over and we hope things grow. It's just like, get back to the old school way, man. Bro science. When we talk about multiple angles, this is all shit we've been over. I feel fucking dumb doing these videos because I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot of the time. But I mean, if it's helping people, for you guys that have already heard it, sorry, you get to hear it again. But like, just like we talked about how there's 3 different variations, there's more variations, but my 3 variations of lateral raises, like kind of narrowing it down to like a very defined scope, like this is where I want to stay in this range. It's the same thing with rear delt and like cable rear delt flies and all that stuff. It doesn't need to be, there's various ways to do stuff, and there's various ways to do stuff that's more conducive for who you are as a lifter. Like, not what works for me is going to work for you. You may have bad habits, like we'll see on this, or if I take this off and I start crossing and I'm able to stay here and I'm able to just spread across on this like plane of being stuck right here. A lot of people when they're in this plane here and they're spreading across, they do this. See what I mean? I'll show you, fuck it. So if they're stuck here and they set this rear delt fly where they want to be, I can do something where I stay here and I just spread across, because I understand that my arms and my body don't need to move together. That's a skill I've acquired. I would suggest that you guys try and acquire that as fast as possible as well, because it's going to help you a lot than to think it's like it's crazy that people can't generate power out of their arm like to do that. Like, even if I'm standing here, I can do this. I can just be here with my body still and push my arm away. Obviously it's not that dramatic because I can be here and I can just push my arm away. The number one goal would be not have enough weight on there that's possible to do this and not make it so fucking heavy, just to be able to spread apart and open your arms. So if you can't keep this base here, and you're one of these people who ducks all the time or they get up in their traps, and because they're trying to literally pull these handles behind them with their body. Like, I'm trying to get tense and then I'm going to open my arms. It's like, no, be loose and then open your arms. So if that person has the problem and you're starting them off as a beginner or like learning something, what you'd want to do is get their eye vision, like their eye, wherever they're trying to target off of, higher. So I'd want to be up here. So I'm like, okay, keep looking there so you don't end up here. Because if I'm just here and I'm looking here, I just keep looking down. But if I'm here, I'm forced to be chest up and I'm forced to be chin up. Chin up is the big thing. If I keep my eyes up and my chin up, and I keep this motion, so when I go to open now, I'm gonna keep my motion back, like I'm leaning back on someone's hand that's holding me, and I'm opening. So yeah, it's not as much of movement, it's not as much movement, it's not as much flexion through, but I'm rocking open, and I'm feeling this opening. I'm opening the handle. I'm not trying to pull this handle back to behind my ears, which is fucking impossible, right? So you can get the person aligned like that. My fucking hand's cramping up. Pulling these cables. My hand was cramping up. So you get angled, I'm like angled up, looking up, falling away. So my hands start like chin level, maybe like 6 inches up. I'm kind of like nose level to where I'm looking. I'm rocking away and back up to there. As opposed to being straight across, which is what we talked about. Most people can do if they have any type of body awareness. The third one is I want to come down through things. So my rear delts will also work when I push my hands down and away from me and I retract my shoulder. So even if I just stand here like this and I have my back to the camera, if I push my hands back and turn like this, or I just keep them here and I don't turn them and rotate, my rear delt's firing. So the idea is to get back to that spot wherever I am. So if it's tight back there, I want to be tight back there. Tight back there, tight back there. To get into this spot where I'm slammed in back here, into that rear delt. I could be open, whatever, right? So if we want to mimic that with cables, the easiest way to do it is to start them where you want them to end up. To find out where I would be up here and then like, oh, I'm going to push down. It's like, no, get it light enough so that you can get into this position we just showed, where I'm retracted in shoulders, hands behind me. I'm going to let my hands pull out and crumble to a spot, and I'm going to sweep down low again. So my pressure never comes off my handles down. My handles are always down here, but I'm letting them rise, and then I sweep down again. I don't get light in my arms and go. It's always down pressure, up, down. I can rock my chest and shoulders through. I could stay here all day. So I could be here, it's the same thing. I'm up, I'm across. I'm across. I can't get it, I'm up, I'm across. Across. That's all it is changing angles, right? But it's the understanding, and it's the being able to base your body in a position where it's powerful or stuck where it is. Like this machine is stuck. You're not moving this machine. Like it's not going anywhere, right? You have to be like the opposite version of the machine. You're the other machine. Now you're moving this cable away from you. I have to be stuck here. So I can't be like holding this up here in my feet, and I've got this thing set. I'm trying to get myself ready, and I'm going. You see these people, they're like fucking tap dancing, like, because they're trying to get as much power as momentum as they can up here to fucking get ready to throw this thing. It's like, no, I want to get as much weight as I can down to my feet, and I can feel set in my hip, loose, like, but I'm pliable, but I'm down to my feet, and I'm opening. If I don't have that base, then the body's gonna freak out and start compensating upper body wise, and then it's like, we get into fucking doing rear delts like we're afflicted with some disease, right?